Hi everyone, my name is Oyama Mdleleni. I am a purpose coach. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If it is your first time watching any of my videos, I hope you enjoy them. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you for the continued support. So I'm on a series where I reference biblical principles and also people who are in the Bible who have experienced rejection. Everyone that God uses in the Bible has experienced rejection. And also I will indicate how it has affected them, what was the intention of the enemy for that rejection, because the enemy is the one, remember from the garden, he's the one who, because of pain and painful experiences and trauma that we go through in our lives, he's the one then who turns this and puts this seed and plants this seed of rejection in our hearts and in our minds, that now we find ways of mechanisms of trying to cope and to get relief from that rejection, and what is his intention for it, and how God uses that rejection in the end. So we're going to talk about the story of Abraham. Abraham, we know, encounters God just after he leaves. He's firstly the son. He's the son of Terah. There's three boys. One of them dies, and then now Terah is left with these two boys, which is Abraham and his brother. They are both married, but the Bible tells us firstly in the genealogy that the descendants, how Terah had a child at the age of 70 compared to those who were before him, his forefathers, who were having children at the average age of 30 years. But he has a child at 70, his first child. So he has these three sons, one of them dies, and now he's left with these two. But the one who dies had two daughters and a son named Lot. And then now the other son marries one of the daughters to his brother, and Abraham marries Sarai at this time, and they don't have a child, but his brother has children with his wife. And now we see, because now the name Abram means father of nations, we can assume and think that his name was a point of contention, because he's called father of nations, yet he's not having children. And now he is at the age of 75. He has even passed the age mark of his father, who already had his first child at an elderly age compared to those who were before him. So we can see that already this is a worry for an anxiety for Abraham. Now his father Terah then takes Abram at this time, his wife Sarai and Lot. He takes them and he moves and goes to, his intention was to go to Canaan, but then he ends up along the way, he ends up staying at Haran. That's where now he passes away, the father, and leaving Abram's wife and Lot, his nephew. We see the attachment Abram has. This story, you'll find the story in the book of Genesis, starting from chapter 12 of Genesis. Now we see his attachment to Lot, that he's like taking Lot as his son because he has no children at this point. And God encounters him now while he's there at Haran with his wife and his nephew. And God says, leave everything, leave your family, leave everything, and go to a land I will show you. We see how now he takes Lot with him, together with his wife, to this land that God is going to show him, even though God said, leave family, but he takes him. So we see this attachment. We see it over and over again as Lot keeps on getting into trouble. He becomes really a lot. He keeps on getting into trouble, and Abram has to come to his rescue once again. So we see this encounter. Now it shows that there is the rejection that now his name was carrying, because his source of rejection was his name. His name meaning something that he was not. So I'm sure people were talking about him, making fun of him. Maybe perhaps that is even one of the reasons why his father moved him from his place of birth. And then now we see as it continues how he is responding in situations where his life is being threatened. Because to me, it shows that he had the spirit of fear of death, that he was going to die without a child, he was going to die fatherless, yet his name said he's the father of nations. But when God encounters him and he tells him, go to a land I will show you, I will make you a father of many nations. We see how quickly he just responds, because God is speaking exactly to his heart. He's speaking exactly to his rejection, is speaking to exactly to the void that he had at that time of not having an heir, of not having a son that he was going to pass down everything he had. And then now later on, I think at the age of 86, him and his wife conjure up a way, because God's plan was taking way too long for them, because now he was getting older. And then now they come up with a plan, and his wife says, she's the one who suggests, sleep with my maidservant, make her fall pregnant. I'm old now, I can't have children. At least I will have a child that comes from her. And then Abraham is not opposing the suggestion. Perhaps I believe he wanted to see if really he was the one who was the problem, or perhaps maybe his wife was, because there is this lingering issue that says his father had a child at 70 and he's now 86, and yet he does not have a child. So he sleeps with her, she falls pregnant, and then she has Ishmael. Now we see even here now how he's so attached to Ishmael, even when his wife is raising issues, firstly with the mother of Ishmael while she's pregnant, that now all of a sudden she's just turns and gives a 180 degrees turn, where she just now refuses to obey her instructions. She's just now acting like the one who is the owner of the house. And she kicks her out, and then we see how God sends an angel and tells her to go back. The things go well again, but then now we see how she eventually gives birth, and then the child is named Ishmael. And now God reminds him and says, I will make you a father of nations. I'm still going to give you that child. And he's like, okay, Ishmael. God says, no, the son I promised you, the promised son. And at the age of 100, for Abraham and his wife, at the age of 90, they have Isaac. And when Isaac is born, the wife now, Sarah, starts to notice that the son Ishmael, who's I think at the age now of 13, he's acting funny towards his half-brother, who's Isaac. And she raises this up with her husband and says she must go with the child, with the lad. And Abraham, the Bible says, he was like grieved with this, that now was going to there was going to be this distance between him and his son. We see how he is so attached to being a father. And so his point of rejection is the name that he has of being a father of nations, yet he had no son. That is what the enemy was using, his name, that it was not matching up with his destiny and with who he was at the time. And now God says to him, sacrifice your son Isaac, the one that I promised you. And Ishmael has been long gone by now. He's now raising Isaac, and God says, sacrifice this boy. And God was saying, sacrifice this boy, because God knew that the boy was going to be an idol, because this was the son he was longing for. This now was a promise. This is the void that was filled. This was a rejection that was answered. So we see how God just turns the whole story around and uses what the enemy had used for evil and God uses for good, because the enemy was using his rejection, his point of rejection, for him to feel as a failure, for him to feel as worthless and as not valuable. Hence the spirit of fear that he had, because we see the spirit of fear of death when him and his wife passing through Egypt, and the king of Egypt, Pharaoh, says, he sees him and his wife at the time. This is now before the issue of Israel, of Isaac, and the issue of Ishmael, and Pharaoh sees them, and he sees this beautiful woman, and they ask, okay, how are you related? And prior to this, he had told his wife to say that she is his sister, because they might kill him for her to get her. So we see now how he was so afraid of dying without her being a father. And this was always lingering. This was what the enemy was using, so that he would feel like a failure, and that he would feel like he could never really do or live the calling that the Lord had over his life, because of this issue that was lingering in his mind. And how God, in the end, at the age of 100, imagine, God turns now that rejection, that fear of failure, and even now for him to be giving it as a sacrifice to the Lord, that now he won't have to worry always about his son. Because now if you have only one child and this is your heir, you worry about their safety. Hence, he even worried that when he died, that he needs to find his son a wife, and had his maidservant go all the way to find a wife for him. And he found Rebecca, who ended up being Isaac's wife. So there's everyone that God partners with, uses as a vessel to accomplish an assignment, a mission on earth. They have all gone through. Even Jesus, as I'm sharing, I will share also how this unravels. Even the Messiah also faces rejection. We all go through rejection, and how God uses that rejection for our good and for his glory. Because now Abraham ends up being the father of the nation, as he has Isaac, and we know from Isaac there's the twins Esau and Jacob, and from Jacob now the 12 nations of Israel, and from Judah, that is the lineage that the Messiah comes through. So it is just amazing how really we see the evil that the enemy intends for our lives, and how God uses that exact point of source of pain, source of shame, source of rejection in our lives, and he turns it for our good. So for Abraham, the rejection was his source of pain, the root of his pain, and how he was responding with fear of rejection, with fear of death, with fear of failure, with fear of men. That is how he was responding to the root of rejection. And the relief that he was getting relief from lying. Abraham was a liar, because he does not do this once, but also with King Abimelech. He does the same thing, where his wife says, no, he is my brother. And the same happens now. God punishes Abimelech and his household by closing their womb. But he repents, and then God restores them back, because now again there's lie that Abraham has told his wife to tell, because he's afraid, he has fear of men, he has fear of death, he has fear of failure. And yeah, that is the story for today. I will share again next time about Isaac, what happens with Isaac, his point of rejection, his source of pain, his source of rejection, and also how God uses that for the good. I hope you enjoy this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Until next time then, always remember that God loves you and He will use all your pain, all your mistakes for your good and for His glory. Bye-bye.